Before we begin our video, a short note. We'll be glad if you like, comment, and share our content. We are the largest left-wing civic association in Slovakia, and we want to keep growing. New videos are published Fridays. If you like what we do, you can support us financially and become our members. More information is available on our website, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. How capitalist propaganda works. Part 2. In the first part, we discussed Marx's idea of the superstructure and Sigmund Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, and his advertising campaigns in the United States, where he introduced the thesis that modern societies cannot be governed by force alone. They must also be governed through people's consciousness. In the second part of our series, we will look at why it became necessary in the 20th century to build such a system of propaganda in the first place. Because 150 years ago, the situation was completely different. In the 19th century, the working class belonged to the most intellectually active layers of society. Workers founded reading associations, workers' libraries, and discussion circles. In Britain, thousands of workers' reading societies already existed in the first half of the 19th century. In Germany, Arbeiterbildungsvereine, workers' educational associations, were active. Similar organizations also existed in Austria-Hungary. Workers read philosophy, economics, and political theory. Historian Jonathan Rose showed that British workers read Shakespeare more often than the middle class. Workers commonly paid readers, people who read books aloud to them during work, so they could educate themselves even on the job. These were the podcasts of the 19th century. Education was not a luxury, it was seen as a tool of emancipation, and this was a major problem for capitalists. Economic elites very quickly understood that an educated working class is politically dangerous. A person who understands economic relations is difficult to manipulate. A person who discusses the ownership of the means of production begins to ask questions about power. So a new strategy of social stabilization begins to emerge. Not repression. The management of consciousness. Exactly what Edward Bernays was doing. Bernays openly argued that modern democracy needs an invisible government that guides public opinion. After World War II, living standards were rising, trade unions were strong, the welfare state was expanding, and most of society felt that the system worked. Then came the 1960s, and they were extremely dangerous for capitalism. In the United States, the civil rights movement emerged, along with mass student protests, resistance to the Vietnam War, and a new wave of union organizing. Universities began openly criticizing capitalism as a system. In Europe came 1968. Millions protested in Paris, Berlin, Rome, and Prague. In some countries, protests paralyzed entire states. In France alone, approximately 10 million workers joined a general strike. It was the largest strike movement in Western Europe since World War II. From the perspective of economic elites, this looked like the beginning of a major systemic crisis. Market regulation was increasing, taxes on the wealthiest were rising, the power of trade unions was growing, and at the same time, the legitimacy of socialist ideas among the younger generation was increasing. In the United States, for example, the top marginal income tax rate still exceeded 90% in the early 1960s, and a large part of society considered this completely normal. Business elites began to feel they were losing control over the direction of society. And it was precisely at this moment that a document appeared, which fundamentally changed the strategy of capitalism. The Powell Memo of 1971. It was a plan for regaining ideological control over society. It was written by lawyer Lewis Powell for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. In it, he argued that business elites were losing the ideological battle for society. According to him, trade unions, students, the media, and universities were gaining too much influence. His proposal was simple. Companies and capitalists must begin organizing politically. Investment must flow into the media, universities, think tanks, legal institutions, and public debate. Not for a few years, for decades. Thanks to Powell's document, organizations such as the Heritage Foundation, the Cato Institute, and the American Enterprise Institute were established. Their role was to change the language of economic debate. Gradually, the way society thinks about the state, the market, and inequality began to change. Until then, for example, high taxes on the wealthy were considered a normal part of democracy. After the 1980s, they began to be presented as a problem. This was not a spontaneous shift in public thinking. It was the result of organized ideological work. At the same time, another process was unfolding: media concentration. In the United States, around 50 large corporations controlled the media landscape in the 1980s. Today, it is about 6 companies. Yes, 6. A similar development can be observed in Europe. Large media outlets gradually stopped functioning as independent information institutions and became part of financial structures. This means that public debate does not begin to take shape randomly. It begins to take shape systematically. This exact process was described by Noam Chomsky in Manufacturing Consent. He showed that modern media do not function as tools for informing the public. They function as filters of reality. Some topics are highlighted, others are ignored. Some interpretations are supported. Others are labeled extreme or unrealistic. In this way, they create the boundaries of what is considered normal thinking in society. That is why propaganda in modern democracies does not look like propaganda. It does not look like the banning of information. It looks like the selection of information. People feel that they are making decisions freely, but they are making decisions within a space that has already been structured in advance. Chomsky called this the manufacturing of consent. We can see the result of this development everywhere around us today. 150 years ago, workers organized reading societies. Today, most people spend several hours a day consuming algorithmically selected content. This does not mean they are less intelligent. It means the informational environment has changed, and with it, the way society is stabilized has changed as well. The modern system does not need to silence critical thinking. It is enough to push it to the margins. And that is exactly why propaganda today works more effectively than ever before. Before we end our video, a short note. We'll be glad if you like, comment, and share our content. We are the largest left-wing civic association in Slovakia, and we want to keep growing. New videos are published Fridays. If you like what we do, you can support us financially and become our members. More information is available on our website. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.